Okay, so you guys have begun or have already been in the midst of working on season 3 and season 4. So if you guys could go back to the last 2 seasons, is there anything you would change about your performance?
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
You know what? No, actually, I think we nailed it.
Yeah, I think we did really good. I think that I'd have more Moxie songs. That's what I would do differently.
And I would probably feature Blitz's butt a little bit more.
I was going to say a little less of Blitz's butt.
Yeah,
but
I want more Blitz butt. I want more Blitz hole even. We haven't even gone in.
Yeah, well, we've had enough of that. See, you knocked it over.
I know.
See what happened? You shocked the camera.
Yeah.
The camera clearly wants Blitz's butt.
Yes, that's more Blitz butt.
There we go.
No, I think that we're very meticulous about our vocal performances because I also direct. So I think we're pretty happy with the way they came out.
I will say there was one time I asked to re-record a line and Viv said no. I wanted to when Blitz drives off when he says goodnight and drives off and leaves Stolas hanging there. I thought that sounded too mean, and I hated that. And I was like, I don't want him to be that mean. And she was like, no, we need to feel this sting. And I felt so bad. I wanted to go back and do a more soft good night or something like that.
But was that a Brandon feeling or a Blitz feeling?
That was a Brandon.
Yeah, so that's a Brandon feeling, but it was appropriate for Blitz.
But it's appropriate for Blitz, and that's been a hard pill for me to swallow because I very much Blitz is also like my first voice acting role, and so I care so much, and I relate so much to him. And then when he starts to go through shitty stuff, I don't want him to go through it, but I know it's great for his growth and his character development and all this and that. I just don't want him to pass me with human growth. I don't want him to become a better person than me at any point.
That's not going to be difficult.
I think we're already there.
Yeah, we're way past that.
And Moxie will get, or Richard will get to Moxie's level of wholesomeness.
Yeah,
one day.
someday. I'm like so unwholesome. Yeah, no. We're sticking with that.
I like it.
Both of you work behind the scenes as the co-writer and the voice director. What was it like, and what kind of discoveries did you make when taking your characters from the page and bringing them to life in the
It really kind of felt like a film gig. Like, it didn't feel like this whole new thing. It just felt like, well, because also when we did the pilot, we were on camera, so there was a sense of like
performing.
It did not feel as I don't know, but it didn't feel as much as I learned. There's new things about voice acting that you learn that you don't see in screen acting. I didn't realize it was going to be so tiring. A day on like a movie, like a screen set it's 12 hours. And in a booth we're there for 4 hours tops. And I remember on season 1 I was like, no, let's go for 8 hours. I can do an 8-hour session. And Richard's like, and by hour 2 you're feeling like already
you're exhausted
because you don't take breaks. I mean, it's not like you're not waiting for people to set up lights or cameras or anything. So it's just you're only acting during that time, and you get tired.
My friend Billy West had the most graphic and articulate expression of what it is that we do, and it was our job is to create a world in our imagination and then throw it up in Technicolor on the microphone. It's pretty graphic, but it's true, because if we don't see it in here, then it doesn't get captured by the mic, and if it's not captured by the mic, then the storyboardists and the animators aren't going to have what they need to make the whole scene cohesive. So it's exhausting. Directing wise, for me, we were recording like the whole season all at once. So in a typical record, we would do an episode a week with everybody, but because half our cast is in New York, half our cast is here, we're trying to get everybody when they're available. So I might record Brandon in episode 1 and in episode 4 and episode 5 that day. So it's really important for me that we have a cohesiveness in story. But we might jump ahead to something that we haven't even recorded yet in an episode. So that is not taxing, but challenging. But I think it has translated well from the page. But we're also not always married to the page. Like Brandon is a great improviser, so he might say, "Can we try this?" And we'll do something. It's like a very collaborative process. No, I don't think so because you know what I kind of equate it to Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Okay, Better Call Saul had a totally different vibe than Breaking Bad. Helluva Boss has a totally different vibe, as Brandon was saying earlier. Hazbin is epic. It's epic in the wars with the angels and all that stuff, and it's epic in redemption. Ours is a more character-driven, very much intimate storyline, right? So keeping them straight in our heads is pretty easy for me because they're tonally different.
Yeah, no, you probably have to juggle both shows more than me because Richard is constantly, like, in Viv too, the two of them are living in two separate universes, going back and forth. I don't know how you keep them straight, but, well, they certainly aren't straight.
Yeah. I sometimes don't remember which character was in which show. That is true.
He's constantly, like, living, whereas I just show up as Katie Killjoy for a couple days and shoot out all my tits, and then I go, and I can remember what's Hazbin and what's Helluva. Also, well, you know, Richard taught me that I've been incorporating in my own on-screen acting is he says I want to hear the smile. When I'm Katie, he's like I want to hear because she has this big smile, and he's like I want to hear that through the mic, and that I was like oh yeah, hear this or hear just to hear a facial expression has helped me on screen as well.
Yeah.
It really reminds.
There's a lot of on-camera actors that don't do well in voiceover because they're used to just a look. Like they can raise an eyebrow, and on a giant screen, an eyebrow can speak volumes, but in a voiceover booth, that's not picked up by the microphone. So, like all my characters have always had that sort of stuff to like transition to the next scene. Sort of like that.
All right, so these shows are part of like a growing trend of like adult animation that can go like way off the rails, like just balls to the wall, and but it's also really heartfelt and sincere. So why do you think that this is like really that more adults are turning to animation as like a preferred choice of media?
Well, I think that we grew up with it certainly, and I think when you look each generation going back, animation I feel like was taken less and less seriously, and I feel like as we get older, animation. I mean, now it's like movies. People treat animation with such seriousness. I think even like my agent was like, "Don't do silly voices. Like voice acting is acting. It's grounded. It's not like the goofy thing it was back in Richard's day."
Where? What day is it?
But
where am I?
I think this is more of a question for Richard, though. Richard,
you know what I believe it is? I believe that, especially like the fandom, has a real tendency, and you probably have seen this, to project their imagination onto our storylines, right? So that's where you get all the ships, right? And you get like people will come up to us at conventions all the time and say, "Well, what if Blitz were to marry so and so and so?" So I think that what the adult animation world does now is it's very fertile in the imaginations of the viewers. So you have people that are like creating their own storylines. I used to see this all the time with Invader Zim with things like Zagar and stuff like that. And back then we would not even acknowledge, Zagar or any of that stuff. Now it makes for great shows. Hence Helluva Boss and Hazbin. So
spread so much in Vader Zim fan
Yeah,
fiction.
it was a lot of that. I would get things I'd get 2 emails. I'd get, what if Gaz and Zim got together and Zagar? And then I would get the emails like, I hope you don't die because you're going to hell. Because we got a lot of those. Like, and little did I know I'd be doing 2 shows about hell.
Yeah.
So maybe that person was smarter.
You're right.
Yes.
When I was in middle school or elementary school, I remember people were saying I would pay Zim or I would pay to see Zim have sex with, I don't know, like but it was all Invader Zim shit.
Yeah.
I would pay to see, and they're like 11-year-olds. I'd pay $1 million to see Zim make out with Gur. Can you imagine? And I'm sitting here talking about this bullshit with you.
Yes, and now here we are. That's the beauty of this show, because I'm like one of the youngest on our show.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's a sad story.
Yeah, no, so like when I get to direct people like Darren Criss and people like that, or Patrick Stump, the first thing they say to me is like, oh my God, you're Alpha 5, or you're Invader Zim, and that's always like really touching. In fact, Darren Criss was in a Rolling Stone interview, and he said, I was so excited to be part of the Helluverse, but when I even found out that Richard Horvitz, like the voice of Invader Zim, was directing, it was that like people in my generation grew up on that, so that's always really heartwarming. Again, hair standing up on the top.
No.
Yeah, see it?
I
know.
Yeah.
It's like
Those hairs are poking.
spider web. Yeah.
Oh my God, your nipples too. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't have my nipples anymore, but thank you.
They're cutting us off, Richard, just like your
okay,
nipples.
I do still have nipples. Do not write that.
Unfortunately, I see.
Yes.
That's the headline.